definitely like the bullies in the movies and in comic books, and there is that aspect, but actually last year, before I was asked to speak on the panel, I took my daughter to the park. It's a park across the street where all the kids play near my house, and she was playing with a girl, and they had fun, and they exchanged toys or hair clips or something. And that girl had another friend who clearly didn't like my daughter befriending her best friend. And it was amazing. She pulled out a picnic blanket. She invited all the kids over, but she insisted that my daughter couldn't step on the picnic blanket. And she was like, "You don't belong in this square." And it was happening in a public park with lots of people. All the other parents were there. Nobody did anything. These kids are 5. And I was like, wow, I'm really nervous to intervene. This little girl is like 7 or something. She was like a little older than everybody else. And I was like, it's amazing that a 7-year-old girl can terrify me. Like, what is she doing to the other kids on that picnic blanket? And I went over there and I said, listen, this is a public park. We're a community. Everybody plays in this park, and you have to let my daughter onto this blanket, and you can't behave this way. And I looked at all the other girls, and I said, and you guys are all part of this, because any one of you could have invited Maya onto the picnic blanket. And one of the girls was like, does Maya want to sit here? Because they
now
didn't.
Who's a bully?
Yeah. So I do feel like adults need to get involved in the care of kids, and I think that at the end of the day, it's frightening and scary and weird and amazing to me that how confusing the topic can be and how challenging it is to do it right. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I think you should do something, and even if you get it wrong, you should do that and then try again and then try again, because it's better to do it wrong and get involved and learn until you get more graceful at it. Than to just avoid it because it's awkward.
Well, even in not being graceful, the fact that you resist it is a statement. You know, it's not okay. And that is a lesson that needs to be taught to the kids as well as to other adults.
And my daughter, you know, we went home and she talked about it, and I said, so what happened today in the park? And she said, well, you know, that girl was the leader and she didn't want me on the blanket. And I said, yeah, but so leader is a complicated word, right? Like leader's not, it's not bad to be a leader. And I said, what do you think a good leader does? And she said, I think a good leader finds a way for everybody to participate, so everyone can do something that's interesting to them, and then the leader makes that possible. And she was 4, you know, and so I think these conversations about what power is and how to exercise competence, leadership, and inclusivity is something we can start talking with our kids really, really early. They get it. Yeah.
I struggle with my son and my students because to talk to your question a little bit about the idea of how bullies have changed. I'm about to get political. Everybody brace yourselves. 3, 2, 1. We have a bully running for president. Right? I mean, there may be Republicans in the room, but Donald Trump is a bully. And my students see him, and they walk around with Trump shirts. And I live in the Northeast. I live in Democrat heaven in New England. And he has struck a nerve by attacking Hispanics, attacking African Americans, attacking Muslims, and women. And I have Muslim students who are subject to more abuse because there's a guy who could be the leader of this country that is saying things about people that it's okay because the media follows him everywhere he goes. So that makes it harder because there's an example, a presidential freaking candidate who's bullying people, and I have to try to figure out a way in my media classroom and all my classrooms to try to approach that subject not from, you know, I'm a super liberal, I can't impose my political beliefs on my students. It's really not appropriate for me to do that as a teacher. But at the same time, when I'm seeing my students who are wearing headscarves or who are from Syria, whose parents barely escaped and in hearing stuff about refugees, and it's constantly in the news, and every terrorist attack, he comes out and starts shouting about the Muslims. It becomes almost like they have a leader, a guy that makes it okay for them to bully. So that's where I struggle, is how do I approach that? As far as my son goes, you know, like, I know I can't be with him 24 hours a day. It's fortunate you had the chance to stand up for your daughter, because she was just like 4 years old, right, at the time. But my son's in kindergarten now. I worry that, I mean, I joked about it at the beginning, but I worry that no one's sitting with him at lunch. Is someone sitting with him? Is someone playing with him at research? Does he have a friend? Does he have somebody that he can turn to and will kind of stick up for him if he needs to? My son is the littlest kid in the class. I know you can't tell from my massive physique, but my son is little, like I was little. Like, he's smaller than the girls. Like, they think he's a little doll. The girls love him because he's tiny, wears glasses. You think he's like this little cute little doll, but I know that he wants to play with the boys, and he's littler, and he gets knocked around. So I struggle with that idea. Like, what do I do as a dad? You know, as a teacher, I'd be like, don't let them get to you. You know, that's what I tell my students. Don't let them get to you. But what do I say to my son? I say, I want to get them for you. So, I mean, I don't know if those of you that, anybody else on the panel wants to throw in on this one. Alice.
Yeah, I have a couple of it. One, I have 2 sons and a daughter, and the way life is so funny. I spent a number of years praying that I would not have a daughter, because I knew what guys were like. And I did not want to raise a daughter and put her in that situation and have to deal with guys and then have her have to come visit me at Rikers. So fresh out of the bun basket, my wife has our first son. Oh, okay. Oh, all right, that's cool. I wasn't saying don't have a girl, but all right. And then we have another son. I think, oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, that's I don't have to worry about the. And then I realized I didn't want my sons to grow up to be the kind of guys I didn't want my daughter to run into.
Wow.
And I said, son of a, So I still had to teach them values, and at the same time try and respect who they were going to become as individuals. I didn't clone me. And it's a hard thing, and again, you got political, I'm going to get racial for a moment. As a black man, coming up in the years that I came up, the way our upbringing was a wee bit different. Corporal punishment was permitted, As a matter of fact, people sort of applauded if you whacked your kid a few times. And my mom's a loving human being, believe me. She taught me so much, and I will love her to the day I die. But my mom had a good swing, I knew when I had done wrong, and I can still remember some of those spankings. And some of them I really deserved. But the bottom line was, I knew I did not want to hit my kids. I didn't want to do that. Somehow, no. But I still had to somehow impose upon them the understanding that I am not your friend first. I'm your father. And my job, as best I can, and I'm going to screw it up, is to help you become the best person you can possibly be. And there's certain ethical rulings that I live by that I want my family to be a reflection of. Bullying is not okay. You being bullied is not okay. Now, whereas when I was coming up, what you taught your son was, put up your dukes, which means stand up to them. We've only stepped back one notch from that. You don't have to put up your dukes and hit them, but don't back away from them. And I think part of what we have to do is help kids understand their own intrinsic value. If they know they are not worthless because of their financial situation, their religious or racial background, whether or not they have trouble reading, which one of my sons did and thought he was less than human. If they understand, no, A, you're loved, but more importantly, because I know where your psyche is, you are a valuable kid, you're smart, you're able to do this, this, and this, you need to work on that. We have to give them a platform in which they can stand that gives them some sense of self-esteem, because it's hard to put a person down who isn't that vulnerable. Oh, we'll take a whack or two, but we're going to come back. Or we're going to go, wait a minute, what did you just say to me? Is that for real? You're going to go to the people you trust, you're going to check with them, and they're going to go, of course not. You're going to go back, yo, you're an idiot. You have to give them something solid that they can stand on, and platitudes don't always cut it. Phrases don't cut it. And I've worked with some hardcore students, I'm talking about people in incarceration facilities. Folks who, I don't want to know how you got here. but defy you, ready to throw it. And I'm saying, hey, I'm not here to fight with you. I'm here to, teach you comics and creative arts and everything. Well, I ain't down with that, mother. I said, hey, well, you know what? It's okay. I'll go work with him because I don't have to prove anything. But the moment I start working with other people and they start to produce something, yo, look what I got here. Check this out. Oh, you got something? Sure. Come on around. Never lie to them. Never say, oh, that's really some nice stuff. That's really great drawing. Because they'll go, what do you like about it? And if you can't qualify it, you blew it. They don't want to be stroked. They don't want to be lied to. They don't have any real self-esteem, a lot of them. They have the bullying. That's their power, their sense of worth. If you show them they've got other skills, usually what happens is it peaks out in certain ways. Some of the toughest kids I've run into draw the funniest, cutest characters. Because there's a little kid in there who never had a chance. And so I think, once again, we go back to the core values. Teach them to be the best human being they can be. Show them that they have value. That yes, there are things you can't do and there are things you can, and I honor that, and I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you when you screw up. I won't lie to you. If I don't lie to you about that, then you know when I tell you you have value, you can believe me. And I think that's one of the things we need to do. It's not even so much about the letter you encountered. I mean, I didn't read it, and I came in on the conversation, but some of that sounds a little bit like, let's back away from possible lawsuits. That's what that reads to me. I mean, ultimately, great. Don't do drugs, but we're going to take all of the programs out of your neighborhood that would give you something else to do. That doesn't work. Okay? Don't want you to get into crime? Let me give you some options. So what are the options they offer? You want me to face my problems? Okay, help me. How? Who do I talk to that can help me get through this? What can I read? What films can I see? By the way, take your kid to see the first Captain America. Michael?
Yes.
Yeah, take your kid to see the first Captain America.
Oh, he's seen it.
Okay, well, just remind him of the alley scene with Steve.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Yeah.
That's an amazing,
I can do this all day.
Yeah.
All right, he's not going to win the fight, but he's not going to give up either.
Yeah.
I don't want him to think about, because Steve couldn't beat the guy physically, but his heart, his heart, he knew what he was about. So again, I think that, as adults, we are responsible for setting role models and guidelines and structure. Because they come into this world, every single child, I don't care what country they come from, they come into this world initially as a baby, wide open, clean slate. Nothing else is there. And what we put out and what we expose them to is what helps to form them. And if we step back and let garbage happen, and I want to use a stronger word, but if we want to let garbage happen and we don't step up, then what are they learning? There are no rules. There is no fair. There is no value. I've given up on life, so you might as well too, you little cute 11-year-old. Not on my watch.
I'd like to jump on that too. How many of you are teachers? How many of you are teachers? All right, I don't know how many of you see it in your buildings, but talking about being that person, there's bullying that happens teacher to teacher in our building. All right, bullying doesn't end, unfortunately, in the schools. One of my friends works at a school on the south side. He was wearing a shirt that said, "I love hockey," and he plays hockey, but he's not the typical jock. He reads comic books, he just stays to himself and plays hockey. The football coach and the baseball coach cornered him and picked on him about hockey for 20 minutes. I get bullied at my school because of the things I do. Like, oh, get on board, he's a chess coach now. Yeah, my chess team is going to be bigger than the head football team in 2 years. Give me 2 years. Yeah. It will be bigger. So I just a word of advice too: don't back down to bullies in your building. Do what you can to stand up to them, and if they give you a problem for doing something, do it more, do it bigger, do it better than what they're doing, because that's the biggest slap in the face. Is when we grew when I was the head coach of the speech team. Our speech team 2 years ago was 110 kids. We had 110 kids on our forensics team. It was impossible to get all those kids proper coaching because it was way too many kids. But whenever anybody was like, "Oh, you coach," I'm like, "Yeah, I have 110 kids on my team."
What do you got?
and a lot of that, and I'm at school after school every day working with kids, and the parents notice it, the kids notice it. I don't care what the other teachers in my building have to say about me. The kids appreciate me being there and doing what I do. So just know that I got your back. If you see bullying, teacher on teacher bullying happens because it happens in every school, and know that you're not alone in that, because it happens at schools. Stand up and be the best person you can be in that situation, and hopefully you won't get too angry at those people.
I think that as educators, it's really important to think about the ways in which we set up how we're teaching in the classroom, so that it's not just, I mean, I teach dance, but I don't think that the topic is really the issue. I think you can teach history, I think you can teach comic books, I think it's not about the topic, and I think if you create environments where people have to work together, where you pair students off and they have to come up with a collaborative idea, I think that the way we model democracy in our classroom is more important in some ways than the actual topic being discussed. And one of the things that I talk to my students about, and the importance of books and art, is that it's a very special way to encourage plurality of thought. Because unlike other topics where there is a right answer or a wrong answer, if we all talk about how an art book affected us, I'm going to pour my life into that book, and my life and that artwork are going to meet, and some third space is going to happen that's unique to me and that artwork. And then you're going to pour your life into that artwork, and something unique is going to happen between your life vibrating against this artwork. And so in fact, in these third spaces, there's room for really different interpretations. And so what happens is when we all bring those interpretations to the fore, the whole topic becomes richer. And it's an example where multiple voices, multiple different feelings about something enrich the scope of the conversation for everybody. And that's a muscle, just like lifting a weight, yes. It's a muscle. It's something that has to be practiced and flexed, and you have to get better and better at it. This knee-jerk reaction, that my gut reaction to this is more important than your gut reaction to this, you have to practice daily that that's not true, and being interested in somebody else's interpretation and opinion. And art is this incredible opportunity where there isn't a right answer, and where each answer scaffolds and builds upon the previous answer, and the whole topic becomes more interesting the more people participate in it. And so I think that, you know, sometimes it's just super important to articulate the value of stories, the value of art, and as teachers, how, not just what we teach, but how we teach, and the underpinnings of where that's taking us in terms of how we dialogue with one another. Those are things that can really contribute.